Hello, I'm Jeff Cavins, and we're going to look at the readings for the 22nd Sunday in Ordinary Time. All about humility on this one, all about humility. How many times do you get ready to go somewhere and you say to your spouse or your friend, let's go early so we can get a good spot? Everybody wants a good spot. Everybody wants a good seat, and I'm no different. I would like to have a great seat too, and oftentimes I get out to a place early or a movie or whatever it is, so I get a good seat. But we learned something about good seats here today with Jesus' teaching as it relates to humility and who we think we are. You know, just who do you think you are? Humility is a proper assessment of who you are in relationship to other people, as far as your importance and your role, and also your proper assessment as to who you are in relationship to God. Humility is the key to being taught. Humility is really the key to learning more. But pride can get in the way sometimes, and we put ourselves ahead, but when we do that, sometimes it kind of knocks us down. Now we want to look at two scriptures. One is Luke chapter 14, where Jesus is teaching about humility and hospitality, and the other is a beautiful reading from Sirach. It talks about how humility really serves us in a practical way. It says in Luke 14, now he told a parable to those who were invited when he marked how they chose the places of honor, saying to them, when you are invited by anyone to a marriage feast, do not sit down in a place of honor. And you know where those places are, lest a more eminent man than you be invited by him. And he who invited you both will come and say to you, give your place to this man. And then you will begin with shame to take the lowest place. But when you're invited, go and sit in the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, friend, go up higher. Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at table with you. And then he kind of draws a conclusion about this parable and says, for everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. This is a teaching about the heart and where we place ourselves at special events. Now, recently, I'll tell you, I felt the sting of this a little bit, even though I didn't choose the place, but I was invited to a priestly ordination in my hometown, and I went there early, wanted a good spot. And I was invited to sit with a particular educational institution because I taught there, and I thought, this is good. I'm only part-time, but this is good. It was so good, it was the second row. It was the second row of seats at this ordination. My wife and I were sitting there. The whole place was packed. And somebody came up to my right and tapped me on the shoulder, and they pointed to two professors that were full-time at the institution. I looked up at them and saw them looking at me, and I thought, uh-oh, I'm going to be asked to move from this great place. And I was. And I got up in front of the packed cathedral and I walked towards the back, and I ended up sitting in a place where I couldn't see anything, and I was totally out of the picture. Now, that doesn't bother me so much, but the walk of shame kind of did. Now, I chose to sit there because I was invited, but it really did teach me a little bit about this lesson, and that is that if I'm not invited to sit in a prime place, find a lower place. Allow the host to bring you up to that place. Now, this isn't all about placement of events. This is about the placement of your heart and humility. And that's what we learned from the lesson today. And Jesus tells us, he says, for everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. I guess another way of saying this is that we need to take the high road by taking the low place. And if we take the high road by taking the low place, all we have is the upside for promotion, and that we give room for somebody else to honor us in some way, if that is even appropriate. So humility is very, very important here when we are with our brothers and with our sisters. Now, Sirach gives us a wonderful practical reading this week that accents the gospel reading in an amazing way. And it says, my child, conduct your affairs with humility. There's nothing wrong with taking the lowest place. You're participating. Conduct your affairs with humility, and you will be loved more than a giver of gifts. Isn't that something? That if you walk in humility, you're going to be loved even more than someone who gives out lots of gifts to everybody. Something about humility is very attractive, isn't it? I think we find that in the life of some of the great saints like Mother Teresa and John Paul II and some of the other saints, St. Therese, a great humility in their life. Humble yourself the more, the greater you are, and you will find favor with God. What is too sublime for you, seek not. Into things beyond your strength, search not. The mind of a sage appreciates proverbs, and an attentive ear is the joy of the wise. Water quenches a flaming fire, and alms atone for sins. You see, it's the small, it's the humble that ends up having the biggest splash and the biggest effect. I need to learn that constantly. Maybe you do too. Jesus was humble. Moses was meek, the meekest man on earth. The key to learning, the key to serving, and the key to becoming more like Christ is realizing really who you are and taking the low seat. It's the high road to life. God bless you.